Warning. Listening to this show may result in increased levels of inspiration, motivation, and innovation. Side effects can include the immediate urge to take massive action to build a better business and life for yourself and others. You've been warned. Welcome to Influencers Radio with your host, Jack Mize.
And welcome back to another episode of Influencers Radio. You know, there are a lot of people in this world who are incredibly smart in so many ways, but managing money just isn't one of them. Now, if you avoid talking to the banker, investment advisors, insurance agents, car salesmen, mortgage lenders, because you lack the confidence or maybe you just don't feel knowledgeable enough about these concepts, then you want to pay close attention to today's show. My guest is Stacey Swanson. She is the founder of Wealth and Women, where she guides professional women to increase their money confidence by educating them on money concepts, management, organization, and mindset, and giving them the tools and processes to eliminate debt, automate their budget, and speak knowledgeably and confidently with financial pros. With that, Stacey, welcome to Influencers Radio.
Hi, Jack. Thanks so much for having me on today. I'm so glad to be here.
Well, I appreciate you being here because this is it's an important topic and one that I think a lot of people don't talk to others about, and they probably keep it to themselves. And I think a lot of people do struggle with this. So I'd like to kick it off by asking you, what exactly is money confidence, and why do you feel it's especially important for women?
I'm glad you asked that, Jack. Money confidence, in my eyes, and what I teach my clients, is having the confidence to understand, manage, and talk about your money. So, as you stated, it's an issue for people all around the world. And the main reason for that is that we're never really taught how to handle or manage our money. We're not taught the concepts about money, even though it affects everyone's life. We're earning money, and then we're just kind of thrown out there into the world and trying to figure it out, right? So that goes for men and women. But I think it's mostly important for women because often they are raised relying on a man to help them with their money or handle their money for them. And so it's easy to ignore it and just kind of tell yourself, oh, somebody else will take care of that. Maybe it's dad, grandpa, and then when you get married, a spouse. And it's easy to just think, I'm not smart enough. That's too complicated. I'll never understand that. And then at some point, you're on your own. Maybe you go through a divorce, or you're widowed, or you don't get married. And then you're sitting there trying to figure all of this out. And then on top of it, the financial pros that we're often dealing with are 80% male. So then we're still having that feeling of, well, I'm not going to ask questions because I don't want to be embarrassed, or because I don't understand things. And so we just continue to kind of ignore it and push it to the side and let somebody else handle it. And that's not often the best course of action because many women get taken advantage of, or because of their lack of knowledge, end up in their 50s or in retirement, barely making it, not having enough money. So obviously financial information, financial literacy is the key to educate people so that future generations can get educated and we can all handle our money great. And I really feel that if that happened all over the world, especially in the United States, we would not have these economic issues that we have been dealing with for so long. We wouldn't have needed stimulus checks if we all had been handling our money wisely.
Well, I can certainly say I agree with you. I think the whole idea that handling money and managing money is a man's job is certainly an antiquated concept, and I think that in many cases, if not most cases, women probably do far better with money than the men. When they feel confident about those concepts. So let's step back just a little bit. So I understand, that the need is there for this oftentimes, but there is that very maybe difficult moment that if there is a woman that's in that position, maybe the husband handles finances, that kind of thing, that she would have to, step forward and say, you know what, I want to get involved in this. I want to participate in this. And I think, for some that may be an awkward or uncomfortable conversation, which it certainly shouldn't be. But, what do you suggest for someone to actually make that, bring that up, to communicate that with, I think it's time for me to be involved with this.
Right. So one thing I'd like to remind women is that we've come so far in our lifetime and generations before us of women who fought to be able to have the right to vote, to be able to, it was 1975 before a woman could, I think, have a credit card in her own name or buy a property in her own name. It's really been a lot of struggle and, try to have equal pay and equal rights. But when it comes to our money, we're not fighting for that. We're still acting like we're, in the 50s where we stayed home and didn't work and our husbands took care of everything. And we need to fight for that right and educate ourselves just like we do about all the other concepts that affect our life and empower the younger generation below us. But one of the things that is so important is to have that confidence to talk about it. And without educating yourself and, reading books, going online, there's a wealth of information. There's many websites that are free that give women all kinds of information. Purse strings is one of them. And so those are all places where you can ask questions, take classes, read a book, anything that helps you understand it better. And then you just have to have the confidence to speak up for yourself, just like you would at a job or in a relationship when something isn't going your way. Often women can't even talk to their husbands about money, or again, they get, kind of dismissed where it's like, oh, honey, I'll take care of everything. Don't you worry about it. Again, like I said, from your spouse, your grandpa, your father, or financial advisor, banker. And so you have to really stand up for yourself and say, no, that's not okay. I'm making this money. I want to know what's going on with it. I want to make decisions about it, and I want to understand what I'm investing in or why I need life insurance or why I should, use a mutual fund instead of an IRA. Not that I'm giving advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but just asking those questions so you know what you're talking about and promoting your education and your place in the money decisions in your family. It's very easy. Go ahead. I was going to say it's very easy to ignore it and just go, I'm making this money, especially if you stay home with the kids and you're not contributing or you're not contributing as much as your spouse. Maybe he's your breadwinner. It's so easy to just turn a blind eye and just let it keep happening and not let the husband keep handling things.
As someone educates themselves around this and obviously just that part of being able to, open up that conversation, has less to do with the tactical parts of understanding money, but, it's more of that mindset part. And I know that you are a big, proponent of kind of reshaping your mindset around money. How big of a role do you think that mindset plays in money confidence?
That is a huge role. Because like I said, what we weren't taught growing up, we could say nobody taught us about money, but actually we gleaned so much in our family relationships. So maybe your family fought about money. Maybe they told you all the time there wasn't enough to buy those things or to do the things you wanted. Or you were told, I don't have enough money. My parents said, which I know a lot of people hear this, is money doesn't grow on trees, which is just a roundabout way of saying we don't have enough money. And it could be anything from your grandparents were in the Depression, and so your parents have this Depression era thinking where we savor everything, we pinch pennies, we don't spend money on things that are frivolous. Or maybe your parents had, lots of money and didn't budget. They just spent and bought whatever they want. But then when you go out in the world, you don't have all that money. And so you're still living that same lifestyle of not, managing your money. And you're wondering why it's not working for you. Or some people didn't have the money, but every time they got paid, they spent it all. So there's so many things that we gleaned as children, and then we grow up and go to college and have friends and get married. And then those people in our lives, again, we're gleaning from them. Some people do have money and they're able to go on trips. And so you're trying to keep up with them or act like you have as much money as them. I mean, there's just so many aspects. And then there's also pieces of forgiving yourself. Like we're ashamed that we got a divorce. We're ashamed that we had to file a bankruptcy or that our house got repossessed during the pandemic or we lost our business. And all of that shame and guilt affects how we earn money and how we spend money, including all the mindset from our past. So what's great, though, is that all of that affects how you spend and earn, but you can change that. You can unpack and look back at all the things and decide what to keep and what isn't serving you and change and upgrade your mindset to what you want it to be.
Well, I think, you really put a spotlight on the fact that getting that part down is almost a prerequisite to being successful with the tactical part. Would you agree with that?
I totally agree, because just the earning potential is one thing. People think, well, that it can't change my earning potential, but really it can. Say your family, managed and was middle-class family growing up, and maybe your dad currently makes, $60,000, and you don't go get some job that's paying you $150,000. And this sounds crazy. You think they would all be excited for you, and they probably are, but there's this guilt that now I make more than my dad, or there's this expectation from your family that now you're paying for everything because you make so much money, way more than all of us, that you should pay for dinner when we all go out. You should pay for a vacation. You should help us buy a house, or people will come and ask you for money, to borrow it. So it really changes the dynamic of the family. And like I said, it depends on how you grew up. So we also have kind of a money container where we are, we only see ourselves making so much money. So maybe you make $80,000 a year and you think, oh, when I get that raise, that's going to be so awesome. And now I make $85,000 a year. That's the top of your money container. Or maybe you can see yourself, well, someday I'll probably make 100. That will be my goal. But you can never see yourself making $250 a year. So why not? Why can't you make $250 and this person over here can? It's because of the thoughts in your head, the mindset about what you think your work is worth. And that's all stuff we need to adjust and try to expand on. And, it's crazy, all the different things that we were taught. You might have had your parents telling you, oh, those people just bought a new house. They're so rich, they're lucky and we're not lucky. But then they turn around and say, you should try to marry that person. They have lots of money, So what is your concept about rich people? And then are you one of those rich people now that everybody's talking about and you don't want to be talked about? So there's just so many aspects to it. It affects, emotional spending, it affects your earning, it affects all your habits around money.
Well, I think it must be something ingrained in human nature that it always seems easiest to count other people's money. And have those expectations. And so, tying into what you were saying, if all of a sudden you're earning all this money and family, friends, well, she's rich. She should be paying for that. She should, cover this. Well, that can lead you down a whole, different path of trouble, I would imagine. Because one of the things that you strongly believe in is that debt is the enemy of wealth. Can you go a little bit deeper into your philosophy around debt and savings and, how to, manage, both that what you have, but also what you were talking about previously with others' expectations about the money that you have and how it should be spent?
Right. So debt is a huge roadblock to building wealth, because every time you get that money come into your bank account, you have to immediately use a big portion of it for most people to pay towards your bills and your debt, which was things that you bought in the past with today's money, right? So every time you buy something on credit or you buy something that you don't have the money to pay for in whole, you're borrowing from your future self. And you're getting charged interest on top of that. So what we like to make sure people understand is that that same amount of money could be going to savings and earning you interest and building on itself and compounding. But instead, it's costing you interest. If you add it up, this is one of the concepts that I have people do to work through and see, and it's not fun, is to write down all their debt, like make a list, make a spreadsheet. Who do you owe? What's the total amount that you owe them? Maybe it's a credit card and you owe $10,000, or it's a car and you owe $40,000. What's your monthly payment and what's your interest rate? And then if you added that all up, it's a big number that you owe people. And it's so easy to just go, well, I could handle that monthly payment, so let's do it. But it's more important to think about, what is the total amount of debt that I owe people? And if you're only making the minimum payments for however long it is till you pay that off, it's going to be like 30 years or 18 years, and you're going to pay in interest usually at least half of what you owe. So you're paying like 1.5 times for that item that you bought in the past instead of just paying for it up front. And then that money is, like I said, bleeding you. It's bleeding you from being able to save, put money away, invest, save for retirement, and earn interest. Instead you're getting charged that interest. So we really like to work with people, first of all, to be debt-free by the time they retire. And I know that seems like a long ways away for a lot of people. Even if you're just turned 50, it still seems, so that's 15 years or more. But how long is your mortgage? Did you just refinance it last year when the interest rates were really low to a 30-year loan? Can you pay that off in 15 years before you retire? Or did you just set yourself up to be spending your retirement money on a house payment? So that's just kind of the education that we give people. And then we also have a really good program that we use to help them if they're able to pay extra above the minimum, to help them get it paid off really quickly, so it's not taking their money away, so they can use it to invest and save.
Well, and I think that leads to a big problem that I think is probably common and a lot of people don't talk about, that I know you're big on is budgeting, right? And I think budgeting probably, for a lot of people, I guess when budgeting is done right, it gives you a snapshot also of maybe when you're making those types of mistakes of taking on debt versus savings. But to a lot of people, it seems to me that having a budget really just means creating a list of bills to worry about.
Right.
Can you, Kitty, go into that concept, which I'm sure is something that damages probably money confidence, just having that list to worry about versus having a proactive and a budget, and use that as an actual tool to build wealth rather than just to have something to worry about.
Definitely. Budgeting and the word budget has become a 4-letter word, and people don't want to talk about it. They find it restrictive. But the best thing about having a budget is if you don't have that up front, and that's the second thing we talk about when we're coaching women to money confidence. First was the mindset, but also then tracking your money, writing it down every day. At the end of your day, what did you spend money on? Or maybe what money came in. And it really is an eye-opener, especially because we're not using cash very much in society these days. It's so easy to just give that card over and not think about overspending. But when you're writing it down and tracking it, you can really see how much you're spending, right? And you're thinking about it. So the next time you hand that person a card at the cash register, It's like, oh, I'm going to have to write this down. Do I really want to spend money on this? The other thing you need to think about a budget, it is a tool, and it's just like a snapshot of what's going on in your financial life. It doesn't have to be restrictive. You can budget things in there that you like to do, like maybe you like to go out to eat every Friday night or go on a vacation every year. All of that can be built into your budget. The only time it's restrictive is when you're spending more than you're making, and you're going to have to make some cuts somewhere or bring in some more income. But budgeting is such a good tool. It's not a action step to necessarily, like, you have to make the budget up front, but it's not going to do the work for you, right? It's just to see where you're at. Just like if you started a diet, what would you do? You would weigh yourself, take your measurements, maybe take a picture of the before, right? You would track your money and really think about, track your food and your intake. You would think about what you're going to eat, right? You would plan ahead and get certain things at the store and not buy other things. It's the same thing with the budget. You're first getting a snapshot of where you're at. And then you're like, okay, if I want to get to this point, just like I want to get to this weight on the scale, I need to do all these things and make adjustments. So it's just as simple as that.
Well, Stacey, I think one of the most refreshing things about you, and I think also probably one of the most powerful things about what you do, is that you don't give investment advice. You don't, not selling investment vehicles, but rather you're empowering women to educate themselves so they can make their own decisions. And that certainly, I think, is easy to see, how much more powerful that is, rather than say, here, you should buy this and you should do this and you should invest your money in this. And I know there's some people out there that think, no, just tell me what to do. And I'm sure that goes back to the mindset. So if you're working with someone and they're looking for, no, tell me what to do and what kind of insurance to buy and what kind of mortgage to get and what I should invest my money in, how do you kind of create that shift from that to, educate yourself to be knowledgeable enough to make these decisions based on what's right for you?
Right. Yes, understanding money concepts is so important, and I think that is the biggest roadblock that most women, why they don't want to talk about money, because they don't know what's a mutual fund, what's an IRA, how do I talk to a lender when I go buy my car or I try to buy a house. All of those, that lack of knowledge is keeping them from doing something. So first of all, I would suggest that when you're seeking out a new car, a new house, or thinking about investing, do your homework and find someone that you feel you're comfortable with talking to. They will take their time. You can ask them questions. They will give you resources, which again, like I said, is abundant online. Similar to if you decided you were going to buy a car, you would do some research on what kind of car you want to get, right? You would make sure that you agree with the gas mileage, or you like that it's all-wheel drive because you live somewhere where it's snow, or that it has certain features on it, or it has enough room in the trunk because you go on trips all the time, So it's the same thing with finding financial professionals to help you with that. So that's key number one, is to make sure that you can search out and vet those people that are helping you. And if you start working with them and you don't feel comfortable or you don't like how they're treating you, you can always go find somebody else.
Well, I think that definitely, being able to do that. I guess it all goes back to that, age-old saying, to teach a man to fish versus giving a man a fish. Right. And
right.
That's what you're doing, is teaching these people, especially women, how to fish. And that to me is just so much more valuable than specific, buy this, buy that, and do it this way, because obviously in the real world, everybody's situation is different. Everybody's situation is unique. There's no kind of one size fits all. And I think, your vehicle for educating is just, just a remarkable tool to accomplish that. Let's talk about some of the different ways that someone could learn from you and what that looks like, if someone decides to engage you and take advantage of this. So what are some of those different ways that people can learn from you?
Certainly. Well, I just first want to say that I'm really passionate about helping women get to that money confidence piece, because it'll help them in so many areas of their life. Whether they want to start a business, stop working in their corporate job or their 9-to-5 and work for themselves. Or maybe they're planning on, when they retire, having a couple of homes to go between, or traveling, or going on that dream vacation. All those things take money, and having money set aside to do what you want in life, it just brings such peace of mind, and who doesn't want that, right? So ways that I help women get to money confidence is I do offer one-on-one coaching, and that is a 12-week program that we really work with that individual. It's specifically on their mindset, which we talk about all 12 weeks, and their money, and their tracking money and budgeting, but also all kinds of other things like their savings, creating a debt elimination plan and not recurring more debt, and then also the money concepts that we talked about. And I do like to encourage women, though, to also think about belonging to a community where they are learning from each other, supporting each other, creating friendships, which is so important, especially since we're getting back to kind of normal where we haven't been able to do that. And so my 6-week Done With You coaching program, which is online and digital, and is a small group of women that they're learning the concepts through a digital course. So we're also getting on a call all together with me, answering questions, coaching. I'm helping coach them and understand all the concepts in group settings. So like I said, there's all that support. So I'm starting that in July. And then I'm also doing a live event, because that's something that I was planning before the pandemic, and that is really important, to come together for an entire day on a Saturday and just make friendships, give hugs, be with people again, and just feel the love and community of other women while you're learning about something that most people don't want to talk about, and most people don't want to even face. And I'm hosting an event this fall of 2021 here in Northern Colorado. And we're also going to be talking about like making those life decisions. What's something you've always wanted to do in your life? Coaching on going through a divorce or going through a life change that is upsetting many areas of your life, not just your money. And then just, like I said, having that community, giving people a little boost after everything we've gone through the last year. So that's how women can work with me and how I can help them create money confidence.
Well, yeah, there's certainly tremendous opportunities, and you can definitely hear your passion around what you do, but also your compassion and your patience as a teacher. As well. So I have to ask you, what led you to do what you do? What led you to create wealth and women and help the people that you're helping?
Thanks for asking that, Jeff, because that's so important. I was always worked in accounting at small different places, and I had went to college right after high school, but just felt like it was really big and not for me, so I didn't finish. Got married, had kids, and found myself a divorced mom of 2 young daughters, trying to make ends meet. And my dad had passed away around the same time, and I just remember reaching out to another female who I thought could really help me and make a decision about just, should I trade my car in for a new model or should I keep it? That was my question, because I felt like I couldn't make that decision on my own. I need somebody to tell me what to do. And my dad and my former spouse weren't there to help me. And I remember this person saying, I don't know what to tell you. You know, probably a guy would say this. And I just remembered that really hit me, like, do we need a guy to tell us what to do? You know, and I was maybe mid-30s at the time. Then I ended up going back and finishing my degree in accounting and also got my life insurance license that same year and started really studying more on my own about money and concepts and, you know, investing and all this stuff. And then I started realizing there was women around me everywhere at work and friends and in women's groups that were just struggling and just maybe going through a divorce, or maybe we're already divorced and just trying to make ends meet. And I just remembered being in that position again and how it felt to just be overwhelmed and not have anyone to ask questions. And so you just ignore it. So I started a small group for women in 2018, and we met every other week for a year and a half at a coffee shop. We created goals and supported each other, and it was just so amazing to see the transformations and realize how women were struggling on their own and also not understanding any kind of money concepts or what to do. And so that's why I created Wealth and Women, because I wanted women to feel like understand their money and feel like they weren't alone, and just knew that there was other people going through the same thing or had gone through the same thing, and to prepare for whatever may come your way, you know, to understand and manage your money. And then throughout my career, up until about a year ago, I worked full-time. I always did government accounting. When I was younger, I was a banker, and I've done budgets for huge governments. So I just felt like I have all this knowledge. Why not share it with other women so they can become money confident as well?
Well, and I so glad you did. I'm sure that there's many, many women out there that are glad you did, because, you know, you do this in a way that is very, very inviting. And I can see why people, you know, resonate with you, because there's absolutely no judgment in coming to, you know, when someone comes to you, no judgment in their situation, regardless of how messy it might be, that, you know, you're truly someone that can help and a true advocate, for, you know, them succeeding, with this. So I have to thank you for coming on and sharing that, because it really will make a big difference for a lot of people. How can women find out more about Stacey Swanson and Wealth and Women and how to get involved in that?
The Wealth and Women website is wealthandwomen.net, and the and is spelled out, so A&D. And I'm also on Facebook and Instagram as Wealth and Women CO, and also on LinkedIn under Stacey Swanson or Wealth and Women. I have also a Facebook community group that's just for women, and you can access that from my website. But I just want people to know that I've been there, and I'm not there yet. I'm not totally money confident yet. I'm still working through that myself. I'm a single person again, and have adult children and grandchildren that I enjoy spending time with. But we're all in different places, and we're all at different levels of careers in our life, income, problems, you know, relationships. And it doesn't matter. We all need to take care of our money. We all need to have that confidence and not, you know, we go to work all those days and spend time from our family, 40 plus hours a week, taking time, giving it to other people, either in your own business or if you have a corporate job, so we can get that paycheck. And what are you doing with that money that you worked so hard for? You need to not let it slip through the cracks. You need to not ignore it. You need to give it jobs to do and take care of it. And one of my favorite quotes is, it's not how much money you make, it's how much money you keep of what you make. So the person making $30,000 a year, who is spending 100% of their money every paycheck, and the person who's making $150,000 a year and spending 100%, neither one is wealthier than the other because they're not keeping any of that money. So don't wait for yourself to make, oh, when I get that raise or when I get to this level, or there's no way I could save because I only make this much. Don't think that way. You can make wealth for yourself. You can manage your own money and become money confident.
Well, true wisdom for sure. Stacey, again, thank you for coming on today, sharing this information. It really is make a huge difference, and I think gives a lot of people hope that there is a way to do this. There is a way to educate themselves and to gain that money confidence. So thank you again for coming on today.
You are welcome. Thank you for having me on, Jack. I appreciate it.
All right, folks, there you have it. Definitely check out Stacey Swanson and Wealth and Women. That's wealthandwomen.net. And we'll also have the links to that and how to connect with Stacey on social media on the show post. Until next time on Influencers Radio, remember, you are the only real game changer.
You've been listening to Influencers Radio. To get all past shows and updates on future shows, visit influencersradio.com today.